This is CBC Vancouver News.
The first long weekend of the summer is here.
Be prepared, have all your safety equipment, and boat sober.
As police step up enforcement on the water. And demonstrations held across North America today.
Today is Elon's birthday. Everyone's invited but him.
Protesters say the tech billionaire may be out of the White House, but he remains a threat. Also, local First Nations want to relocate a problem grizzly living on a small BC island.
Get about 50 to 60 grizzlies that come in there when the salmon runs are going.
But they're waiting to get the green light from the province. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Morton. The first long weekend of the summer is here, and while many British Columbians are looking to cool down at a lake or beach, officials are reminding people in Metro Vancouver about boating safety. As Michelle Gomez reports, some are happy to see more enforcement on the water.
Police were stationed at the McDonald Beach boat launch in Richmond Saturday, conducting checks and educating the public on boat safety. It was a welcome sight for this boater who says safety is top of mind.
It's a good thing to have the RCMP out here doing counterattack because it is such a prevalent problem in the community.
According to the Canadian Red Cross, alcohol is a factor in at least 46% of boating deaths. Boaters in Richmond say they have witnessed concerning behavior on the water.
Conflict with other boaters that are maybe partaking in too many beers and just not drinking responsibly.
There's so many boats out there, you got to be careful. You really do. Careful, and obviously alcohol is a factor. Like, keep it for home.
Mounties say brushing up on boating safety is more important than ever ahead of the busy summer season. They had to turn several people away Saturday for not having proper equipment.
Just to make sure they all have their lights are working, their safety equipment is on, and making sure the boaters actually know where everything is in case of emergency.
It comes just weeks after a tragic incident in North Vancouver. A 10-year-old child died and another left injured after a speedboat hit an inflatable tube. Although no charges have been laid yet, alcohol and speed are being investigated as factors. Police say it's a somber reminder that safety and sobriety should always come first.
Be prepared, have all your safety equipment, and boat sober.
And equally as important is getting home safe after a day of boating.
If they're going to get on the water, make sure they have a sober driver. As well, plan for a safe ride home if they're having a few drinks on the water.
Twigg says drinking and speeding have become too normalized in the boating community.
Everybody has the opportunity to do the right thing, and it only takes one person to do the wrong thing, and it ruins for everybody else.
RCMP say officers will continue patrolling the Fraser River this summer to ensure boaters are licensed and sober. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Richmond.
Demonstrations against Tesla CEO Elon Musk were held across North America today as part of a coordinated wave of protests against the tech billionaire's political clout. Saurabh Sandhu reports one of those protests were held in Vancouver's Strathcona neighborhood.
There's live music, cake, and even a piñata. The stage is set for a party.
Today is Elon's birthday.
But the celebrations come with a twist.
Everyone's invited but him.
This group is celebrating Elon Musk's birthday as a mark of protest next to this construction site in the Strathcona neighborhood, which is set to become a Tesla service center.
Strathcona is the poorest postal code in Canada, not just BC, but Canada. And here is Tesla, the literal richest person, this is funded by the richest person in the world. And to me, it is a literal, concrete example of the oligarchs taking advantage of the poor.
The protest is part of a global day of action against Tesla and its CEO Elon Musk. Despite no longer being part of the U.S. government, the protesters say Musk's policies hurt Canadian sovereignty.
This is also a symbol for all of the other interference of billionaires. Right now we're seeing it play out around the interference trying to stop the digital services tax.
On Friday, President Trump announced he is terminating all trade discussions with Canada effective immediately, citing the digital services tax, which is set to impact several American tech companies, including Google, Apple, Amazon, and Meta, at the end of June.
And I've gone to Trump and trying to get him to push back on this tax now. So this interference by billionaires in controlling our information ecosystem, controlling how we trade, how we communicate, continue to happen.
Similar Tesla protests were held across the cities in the U.S. Saturday.
We're out here to make a statement that democracy is the most important thing that we can fight for. And the people have been here week after week after week demonstrating their support for democracy.
The coordinated demonstrations marked the latest surge of grassroots opposition to the growing political clout of Elon Musk. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
If you're going somewhere over the next couple of days, get ready for it to be busy. As the Canada Day long weekend marks the start of summer travel season, Renee Lucas tells us those in the tourism industry say they're ready for it.
With many British Columbians eager to get out of the office and soak up the sun this holiday weekend, BC's tourism and hospitality industry is also warming up to welcome visitors.
This is the weekend where volume will be at maximum capacity. And it looks like it will stay that way until mid-October to late October.
On Tuesday the 1st, we've got a big booking of 27 and one of 13. And Friday night today should not be a busy day, but we're geared up for a busy Friday and a busy weekend ahead.
This weekend marks the peak of cruise ship season, a major part of Vancouver's tourism economy.
Locally, each year, each cruise season, cruise lines, their passengers, as well as their crew, spend around $1.1 billion just here locally in Vancouver.
Vancouver International Airport says this will be the busiest year on record, and they expect Monday to be the busiest day of this weekend. Suka says this isn't a typical long weekend for her neighborhood restaurant.
Well, traditionally for a long weekend, especially the Canada Day, which is the biggest one, we would see a little bit of drop in business and people being away.
Ballingal says Sukas is right, as travelers from all across the country are looking for Canadian destinations as they opt out of traveling to the U.S.
Tofino right to the border with Alberta, everybody is reporting increased volumes.
Ballingal says from camping to cabins to luxury hotels, bookings are up and selling out, sometimes up to 6 months to a year in advance.
If you're going to sleep on it, you're not going to sleep in it.
Tsuka says she's looking forward to the busy weekend ahead.
I'm happy to see everyone and celebrate the weekend together, celebrate Canada Day, being Canadian, being strong, supporting each other, and it's definitely a great feeling.
Renee Lucas, CBC News, Vancouver.
At Canada Place, the cruise industry is preparing for its busiest weekend of the year.
On the sheet that we get, we have this various colors depending on how many ships are coming in. And the ones that are black in color mean it's a 4-ship day. And that's very busy for this size of port. So we call it black, well, tomorrow's Black Sunday.
It's nice because we find friends all over the world, even Brazilians. We have some friends in Brazil up there, and friends from Europe. So it's amazing to gather people and enjoy Canada.
11 cruise ships will be visiting for the weekend with more than 40,000 people on board. Every year, cruise passengers and employees spend more than $1 billion in Vancouver alone. A new committee has been formed to look at governance issues at Metro Vancouver. A number of controversies have plagued the regional district, including compensation packages.
Perhaps there should have been other directors, or perhaps even other councillors or members of the public who were appointed to this committee to review this, but to appoint two people who are earning well in excess of $300,000 and asking them to review the compensation might be challenging.
Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brody and Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West have been named board directors. In May, consulting firm Deloitte had made 49 recommendations to improve operations, which included a governance committee. The City of Vancouver held its first in-person event to get public input on the future of Kitsilano Pool.
If they can fix it, I think they'd be way better off just doing that. I think the community gets a lot of value out of it. There's a lot of history with the pool too.
I want it to stay in some form or other. I am not so interested in having other facilities like gym and sauna and hot pool. I just like the pool. I love the pool.
I think they need to just try to preserve what they have and what makes it so special. And if they can keep it longer, open for longer, and keep it the same length, we'd be happy with that.
The city says the study will look into options that honor history, improve accessibility, and address climate change. Officials say the replacement of Kit's Pool provides an opportunity to update it to meet a variety of recreation needs. The public can participate by taking the online survey until July 14th or by attending 2 remaining in-person events at Kitsilano Beach Park next Friday and Sunday. Ahead of next year's FIFA World Cup, the province and city of Vancouver have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, underscoring the commitment they have to work together as partners to host the large event and sharing the benefits.
The doors are open. The inclusivity's there. The strength of the future is strong, especially for our Munwan, we say, our children, those who are not with us yet.
Williams says the World Cup offers the nations an opportunity to share their histories and cultures with people from around the world, creating a lasting legacy. Local First Nations have come up with a plan to relocate a grizzly bear that has been living on a small BC island for more than a month. There have been several reports of the bear stalking residents, leaving the community divided over its fate. Catherine Marlowe has the story.
Since May, residents of Texada Island have been sharing sightings of a grizzly bear that is believed to have swam over from the mainland, with reports of it stalking residents and chasing livestock. And while it's unusual for such a large predator to show up on the small island in the Strait of Georgia, the bear is a known entity on the nearby Sunshine Coast. After showing up in Gibsons and Sechelt last year, it was relocated twice. First, partway up Jervis Inlet, about 50 kilometers away, and then after it returned even further to the inlet's far end, more than 75 kilometers away. When it started making trouble on Texada Island, Eric Blaney started coming up with a plan. He's an elected representative of the Tla'amin Nation and acting lands and resources manager for the Shishaf Nation. Texada is located at the intersection of the two nations' territories.
Well, since he walked from Shishaf into Tla'amin, I'm a legislator with Tla'amin, but I'm a worker employee with Shishaf. I thought, okay, this is now all on me.
He called his cousin Darren Blaney, chief of the Hamalko First Nation, and asked if Hamalko had a place for the bear. The Hamalko run a tourism company where they take visitors deep into their territory to see grizzlies. They visit Orford Bay and Butte Inlet along the coast of the mainland across from Campbell River.
We get about 50 to 60 grizzlies that come in there when the salmon runs are going, and they have a small area to catch all this salmon to fatten up for the winter.
After Darren Blaney agreed, Eric Blaney worked with all three nations to come up with a plan to trap the bear and then take it by boat to Butte Inlet.
We have the plan. We have the funding to do it. What we don't have is the province's assistance and backing.
The province says it is aware of the plan and that there are ongoing conversations between First Nations and the Grizzly Bear Foundation. Catherine Marlowe, CBC News, Victoria.
Still ahead, Canada's digital services tax. Donald Trump calls it an attack on his country and has frozen all trade negotiations with Canada until the tax is lifted. That's next. Stay with us. The clock is ticking down on a new tariff threat from the U.S. president. Donald Trump says he plans to announce new levies on Canadian goods by next Friday. It's a response to Canada's digital services tax, which on Monday will trigger its first big payment from U.S.-based tech giants that have operated here since 2022.
Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years. We have all the cards. We have every single one.
As it stands now, businesses like Amazon, Google, and Meta will have to pay over $7 billion over the next 5 years. Trump says he considers it an attack on his country, and he has frozen all trade negotiations with Canada until the tax is lifted.
Well, you know, Donald Trump and tariffs, it's like Groundhog Day. Just when you think it's gone away, it comes back in a different way. No, this is not necessarily a surprise. In fact, the Biden administration was against this digital services tax as well. So this is something the two administrations agree upon. It's coming to a forefront, obviously, on Monday. So maybe that's why Donald Trump is making it an issue right now. But again, not a big surprise. Everyone knew it was there. Everyone knew it was taking effect on Monday with the first payment. $billion payments. Now, Trump on his social media site, Truth Social, he posted his announcement that he was effectively ending all trade negotiations with Canada, effective immediately. Probably there are some back channel discussions taking place. He called it a threat, a direct direct threat to the U.S. Hard to say if that's really a direct threat, but that's what he called it. That's why he's taking the action. Listen to more of what he said from the Oval Office yesterday.
We have all the cards. We have every single one. We don't want to do anything bad, but they have, economically, we have such power over Canada. I'd rather not use it, but they did something with our tech companies today trying to copy Europe. You know, they copied Europe. It's not going to work out well for Europe either, and it's not going to work out well for Canada. They were foolish to do it. So I said, we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act.
So negotiations, again, very likely discussions, at least, maybe not official negotiations, but discussions are probably taking place through back channels right now. Mark Carney acted pretty cool yesterday. He did not get angry. He did not throw a bit of a political temper tantrum, if you will. He was asked yesterday if he had spoken with Trump. Take a listen.
No, I didn't speak to the president.
What do you? Any reaction to the news that you put on?
No, look, we'll continue to conduct these complex negotiations in the best interest of Canadians. It's a negotiation.
And that's what it is, negotiations coming down to the wire. And when you come down to the wire, there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of posturing. Now, is Donald Trump posturing? We don't know. We'll know that in around a week.
That was journalist Steve Futterman reporting from Los Angeles. To the Middle East now. Officials in Gaza say Israeli strikes since last night have left more than 60 people dead. The latest violence follows comments yesterday by the U.S. president suggesting a Gaza ceasefire is imminent, and by the UN Secretary General harshly criticizing the aid procedures recently imposed by Israel. The CBC's Tom Perry reports from Jerusalem.
What we've heard from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is a renewed call for the Israeli government to open up Gaza to more humanitarian aid. What Israel has done, it's really sidestepped the United Nations and other aid groups. It's gone instead with this new group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It's backed by Israel. It's backed by the United States. It's set up a number 4, actually, of aid stations inside Gaza where people have to go to these stations, these distribution points, to get humanitarian assistance. We've seen these scenes of huge, really at sometimes unruly crowds trying to get this desperately needed aid. And we've seen as well the Israeli military open fire on some of these crowds. Now, the Israeli military says that it fires warning shots. It says that it only fires on individuals that it regards as a threat. But the United Nations put out a report this week saying that since the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation started working about a month ago, more than 400 people have been killed lining up for assistance. Now, Guterres talked about that in his remarks. Here's what he had to say.
The search for food must never be a death sentence. Let me be clear. Israel, as the occupying power, is required by international law to agree to and to facilitate humanitarian relief. Meanwhile, humanitarian operations continue to be strangled.
Guterres is also calling, again, for a ceasefire in Gaza. He says that if Israel and Iran can reach a deal, that maybe Israel and Hamas can reach a deal to end the violence. We heard something about that from U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday in the Oval Office.
We think within the next week we're going to get a ceasefire. And we're supplying, as you know, a lot of money and a lot of food to that area because we have to, I mean, you have to.
That could just be Donald Trump talking. We'll have to wait and see. We have heard from Qatar's foreign minister who says he sees an opportunity because of that deal between Israel and Iran, potentially for momentum toward a deal between Israel and Hamas, but we're not there yet. We're going to have to wait and see what happens next. Tom Perry, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Here's a live shot of White Rock. After the break, we'll take you across the pond where Canadians in London turned out for a full-on festival for an early Canada Day celebration. Stay with us. Mounties, Maple Leafs, and plenty of CanCon, all part of an early Canada Day celebration across the pond. Canadians in London turned out for a full-on festival and a reminder of the long-standing ties between the two countries. Anna Cunningham was there.
Well, Canada really has taken over the heart of central London today here in Trafalgar Square. These festivities coincide as well with the 100th anniversary of Canada House. And Canada's High Commissioner to the UK, Ralph Goodale, has been talking about the difficulties between the US and Canada recently and why it's so important to maintain friendships with countries like Britain. Take a listen.
We have relied too much on one big, close neighbor, and one that we hope will continue to be a good friend and neighbor. But we also have to look toward those connections in the UK, in Europe, in the Asia-Pacific region, all around the world. Because Canadian values are pretty universal, and they relate and they connect to people worldwide.
Today really has been about showcasing everything Canadian, including Canadian culture, music, and of course, cuisine. This is what these people, both from Britain and from Canada, have been making of today's celebrations.
The music, the food, but also when I walked in, I thought stranger walked up to me and said, "Carrie Walker from Nora's Arm. I'm Chad, we went to high school together." That never happens to me in London normally.
It's that chance to, because obviously we live in the UK, it's that chance to connect to Canada and have that bit of Canada over here. So yeah, it's a great way to connect to part of our heritage. So.
There's been bands from Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as Alberta and Quebec. And later on, Arkels are taking to the stage to round up the celebrations here in Trafalgar Square for Canada Day London. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, Trafalgar Square, London.
And that is your late news for this Saturday. Thanks for watching. For news at any hour, you can always go to our website, cbc.ca/BC. Good night.